Thank you everyone for joining us today for the Overcoming Employer Engagement Challenges, Experiences from Across Canada. My name is Rania and I'm a special advisor for programs at IECBC and also the lead for the Immigrant Employment Council National Network. While we're meeting today on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land which we each call home. I would like to acknowledge that I'm joining you today from the land, from the treaty land and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. And I encourage you all to gain that awareness of where you're joining from today as well. For our workshop today, we are focusing on employer engagement and the delivery of responsive and coordinated immigrant settlement services. Service providers and employers often struggle with reflecting on the barriers to engagement for employers in our programs. And today our speakers will share experiences and insights from both research conducted with SPOs and employers from different regions across Canada and practical solutions and lessons learned from the work they do to overcome obstacles to effectively engage employers in their programs. Our speakers today represent partner organizations from the Immigrant Employment Councils of Canada. The National Network of Immigrant Employment Councils is a group of 10 organizations that work independently and together to provide employer program solutions, tools, and resources to help attract, hire, train, and retain immigrant talent and improve employment outcomes for newcomers or new Canadians, newcomers to Canada. Our first speaker today is Celia Huang. Celia is the project manager for the Employer Engagement Research. She provides strategic direction and oversight of the IRCC SDI funded research project on how service provider organizations can effectively engage employers in newcomer skills development initiatives. This project was led by the Toronto Region Immigrant Employment Council, TRIAC, in partnership with Social Research and Demonstration Corporation, SRDC. We also have Alida Campbell, National Connector Program Manager. She supports the Connector communications across Canada and internationally, and ensuring that they have the tools to run a successful program from the Halifax, Greater Halifax Partnership. Alida, and then we also have with us Daniel Chen. He is the Workplace Culture Learning and Inclusion Specialist at IECBC. He's a certified training and facilitation specialist with extensive experience in learning, design, development, and delivery. We also, and finally, last but not least, we have with us Maura McKinnon. She's the executive director of the New Brunswick Multicultural Council. Maura is responsible for providing leadership in this bilingual not-for-profit. It's an umbrella organization that works with established and emerging multicultural, ethnocultural associations and immigrant serving agencies in the province. Before I hand it over to our speakers and we start our conversation, I'd like to encourage you all to share your questions in the Q&A using the Q&A button at the end of your screen. Send us questions throughout. We'll take them all at the very end, but please do think of them and write while you think of them so that you don't forget them, and hope you enjoy our conversation. I hand it over now to Celia. Celia.
Thanks, Rania. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a bit under the weather, so please excuse me if I need to pause and cough. Today, I'm going to present some employer engagement challenges and ways to mitigate these challenges, informed by the effective employer engagement in newcomer skills development programs research project. This project is a joint initiative between the Toronto Region Immigrant Employment Council, TRIAC, and our partner, the Social Research and Demonstration Corporation, SRDC. TRIAC works towards a prosperous and inclusive economy, one in which immigrants have employment opportunities matched to their skills and experience. Research has consistently shown that newcomers to Canada face multiple barriers to employment, such as the devaluation of their international experience. While employer engagement has been repeatedly identified as key to successful employment programs provided by newcomers serving service provider organizations or SPOs, there's limited systematic knowledge about effective employer engagement practices. To fill this gap, with service delivery improvement SDI funding from IRCC, TRIAC partnered with SRDC to document emerging practices in employer engagement, including challenges and lessons learned, and to develop tools and resources to help strengthen collaboration between SPOs and employers. We used a mixed methods approach, including conducting a literature review and online scan, collecting primary data through surveys and interviews of both employers and SPOs using convenience sampling. There were 101 employer and 38 SPO complete surveys, as well as 10 employer and 17 SPO interviews conducted between May and September of last year. We also gathered inputs from our project advisory committee made up of immigrant employment councils, IECs, SPOs, and employer representatives from across Canada. In this presentation, I will highlight research findings on employer engagement challenges heard from SPOs and employers from different regions in Canada. Employers and SPOs in Canada engage in multiple activities across different levels of engagement. It's a nonlinear continuum of activities from passive involvement, for example, posting a job, to active collaboration, such as participating in the design of training programs between employers and SPOs. Depending on the intensity, frequency, and efforts put into these activities, we present 3 levels of employer engagement: low, medium, high, with examples as shown on the slide. Through understanding and the challenges and ways to mitigate them, the hope is to improve employer engagement towards a higher level of engagement that results in providing better support for newcomer labor market integration. Next, I'm going to highlight 3 employer engagement challenges. First, there's limited employer awareness or interest in SPO services. Among the 1,117 employers responded to the survey, the vast majority of employers, 71%, were not aware of how employment SPOs can help recruit and retain newcomers. Only 10% of employers who responded to the survey were actively engaged with employment SPOs serving newcomers. Many employers experience difficulties of finding suitable SPO programs in their sectors or industries and locations. Other employers may hold misconceptions about SPOs, such as SPOs don't understand business, are only focused on newcomers, but not on what businesses need, and SPO clients can only fill entry-level roles. There were 756 employer survey respondents who were not currently engaging with SPOs. The top 2 reasons for their non-engagement are: 1, not aware of any SPOs serving newcomers in the location where they operate, 39.8%, and 2, not aware of how SPOs may benefit their organizations, 25.3%. There are some emerging practices identified by SPOs and employers to address this challenge. First, when forming new relationships with employers, SPOs may use a combination of ways to make connections, from cold calls to warm referrals, to social media posts and networking events. Both SPOs and employers emphasize the need for developing more tools and opportunities to help employers and SPOs find the right partners, such as a mapping of SPOs, listings of employers who are interested in working with SPOs, and centralized job boards. Second, SPOs need to treat employers as clients and pitch the benefits of the partnership in ways that will meet business-related goals and not just appeal to moral or ethical aspects. For effective engagement, SPOs need to craft a strong value proposition and have a strategy for engagement. For instance, some SPOs mentioned a pipeline approach that involves identifying a lead, holding initial exploratory meetings with the right decision makers, conducting a needs assessment, and then working with employers in suitable programs. Limited resources have been identified as a main challenge by both SPOs and employers, particularly staffing and funding. For instance, employers, especially SMEs, may not have dedicated staff to work on EDI issues and/or engage with SPOs. Meanwhile, SPO staff may be overwhelmed by the responsibilities for recruiting clients, delivering programs, and be expected to develop partnerships with employers. Since the majority of SPOs interviewed rely mostly on government fundings with limited private sector funding, as relationship building takes time and resources, many SPO communication, administrative, and other roles are generally underfunded. Given limited resources, it's important to assess the internal and critical staff positions and competencies needed to maintain SPO employer engagement effectively. For example, SPO positions in outreach, relationship management, program implementation, and employment are considered essential. For employers, community engagement staff, HR and recruitment managers, EDI lead, and other senior decision makers are seen as vital roles for SPO employer engagement. More fundings from different levels of government can help, especially to support smaller SPOs with innovative programs of employer engagement and more digital advertising to raise awareness. Furthermore, it helps when employers can be more understanding of SPO's constraints, including high staff turnover that can affect the continuity of relationships. That said, SPOs can proactively coordinate internally and externally to increase efficiency, to improve engagement. Many SPOs have multiple programs involving different funders and staff. One employer noted being contacted by different SPO staff from various locations to ask for the same thing. This could happen internally within the same SPO or externally among different SPOs. Many employers pointed out the need for a centralized database with information on the different SPOs and various programs they offer. Several employers prefer to have one single point of contact within an SPO. For instance, someone at a senior level that can speak to all aspects of the services. However, employers also expect SPO staff to have specialized knowledge regarding their industries and sectors and the technical requirements of the position newcomer clients are seeking, as well as the changing economic landscape and labor market policies. So some SPOs have different employer relation team members, each focusing on a specific sector. Many employers and SPOs highlighted the importance of continuous two-way communication. Some SPOs create feedback loop with employers. For instance, by requiring staff working with employers to visit their contacts monthly to better understand employers' evolving needs, as well as following up 30, 60, and 90 days after a newcomer client is hired. Moreover, having systems in place for documenting organizational level knowledge of employee engagement can help ensure smooth transitions and continuity of collaboration. For more findings on employee engagement challenges and key practices, please read our report, which is available for download on TRIAC's website. In light of research findings, we are currently working on several tools that can be useful for addressing the challenges. First, based on the different engagement levels, we developed a benchmarking tool for employers to find out about their own engagement level with newcomers serving SPOs. The tool consists of 6 questions to measure 5 dimensions: worker development activities, SPO engagement activities, number of SPO engaged, frequency of engagement, and employer size to gauge an employer's engagement level. The graph on the right shows an interactive tool that we are building from a mapping of immigrants serving employment-related SPOs for employers to find SPOs based on filters, such as for the target population and industry served. The mapping has started with Ontario and can be expanded to other provinces. In addition, we have created guidebooks for employers and SPOs to include strategies and practical tools for establishing and deepening relationships over time. Finally, we have developed 2 one-hour how-to webinars for SPOs with practical knowledge for effective employer engagement. The first webinar focuses on the value of employer engagement and different levels of engagement. The second webinar presents a staged approach to engage effectively: preparation, generating awareness, cultivating interest, and engagement. In conclusion, employer engagement is a crucial component of any employer program because employers know best what their own needs and goals are, as well as the market trends. There are a variety of activities that SPOs engage with employers. Some activities are at a higher level of engagement than others. Our research presents several engagement challenges, such as limited employer awareness or interest in SPO services, lack of resources, including staffing and funding, and lack of coordination among SPOs. We have discussed some key practices to mitigate these challenges as well. Based on our research findings, we have also developed tools and resources for SPOs to engage with employers and for employers to navigate the settlement ecosystem to meet their talent needs. The tools and resources will be available on TRAC's website by the end of this month. Thank you so much for your attention. I will be happy to answer your questions later. And now I will pass it over to Alida from Halifax Partnership to present about intentional networking.
Perfect, thanks Celia. Perfect. Okay, so hi everyone. As Celia mentioned, my name is Alida Campbell and I'm from the Halifax Partnership. I'm the program manager of the National Connector Program. So Celia talked a lot about employer engagement and how it best one might engage your employers. And in Halifax, we engage employers through long-standing relationships and as investors in our organization. So we are an economic development organization. And we work very diligently to build relationships with businesses by discovering and addressing their needs. And right now, that need is talent. So we use our award-winning Connector program to connect them to talent. And in return, they see the value and importance of hiring diverse talent, diverse in education, diverse in country of origin, diverse in experience, and diversity in background. So in today's presentation, I'll be going over some big themes around how we engage with businesses and how we help to ensure that talent is connected to business and opportunities here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Through this connection and the business community and our community as a whole, we can benefit from the newcomer experience, knowledge, education, and diversity of thought. And that's what we've been doing over the past number of years. And it's made a big difference. So Halifax is booming now. It was really only a decade or so ago when people were leaving the province in droves due to lack of perceived opportunities. Employers were having trouble finding the talent that they needed to make their business thrive, but people also were like, there's nothing here for us, so they left. We had extremely talented people. They were working though in jobs that didn't match their credentials, didn't match their education, didn't match their experience, didn't match their skills. And then again, the employers are craving people and there's this disconnect. They weren't connecting with one another and they couldn't find each other. So talent was leaving for other places and we lose more people. So we were in this circle of lack of opportunities, lack of talent, lack of growth. And that is a narrative that we absolutely needed to change if anything was going to change in our province and in our city. So what we did was we created essentially an ecosystem that was inclusive and was helpful for us. So in this ecosystem, the public, the private, and the not-for-profit sector all work together to support immigrant attraction and retention in Nova Scotia in order to meet our labor needs and to grow our population. So this ecosystem of all of the organizations working together really does benefit newcomers and employers. And you can see how it's working by the growth in our city and in our economy. We're the second fastest growing city in Canada. So employers and immigrants in Nova Scotia can benefit from a variety of local, provincial, and federal immigration programs, services, and resources. So these include the Atlantic Immigration Program, or AIP. So that is a federal immigration stream, and that helps employers in Atlantic Canada's 4 provinces recruit and skilled foreign talent and international graduates faster and easier in order to meet their labor needs. As a delivery partner, so that's what Halifax Partnership is, we help Halifax businesses navigate and become designated to participate in this program. We reach out to businesses, we engage them in the program, we answer any questions that they have. And since January of 2022, so a little bit over a year, we've had 763 businesses in Nova Scotia benefit from this program alone. We've also got the Global Talent Stream, as you see here, which is a federal program which allows businesses to hire temporary foreign workers to fill those unicorn positions that only 30 people in the world do. We've got the Nova Scotia Nominee Program, which is a provincial program through which prospective newcomers have the skills and experience that are targeted by Nova Scotians may be nominated to immigrate. So there's several streams, including international students, physicians, entrepreneurs, and skilled workers. The Halifax Immigration Partnership, of which we're a partner, works with partners from many different sectors to help newcomers settle successfully in Halifax. We've launched the New in Halifax website to help new and prospective immigrants learn about and make Halifax their home. And we also help businesses launch or put job ads on that website, especially in the tech sector. What I'm focusing on today is actually the Connector program and how this program works within this ecosystem and with all of the seats at the table, as you see, to ensure that businesses can access and meet the talent that they need and recognize the benefits that newcomers can bring to their organization. So, how does the Connector program work? It's an award-winning, very simple intentional networking program where we match newcomers in the community to people that are already established in the community or leaders in the community. So we bring someone into the partnership and they meet with a coordinator of the Connector program, and we find out who they are. We find out their skills, we look at their resume, where have they gone to school, what industry do they want to get into, and we take that information and we say, okay, who would be a great person to help open doors in this community for this newcomer? We match them with someone that is very similar in skill, ability, and credentials in the industry that they want to get into. And then those two people connect. So we do an e-introduction and they have what's known as an informational interview. So 30 minutes to half an hour, and they can ask any questions that they want of the connector or of the leader, and the connector can ask questions of the connectee. And after this informational interview, where the connectee now feels a lot more comfortable about what the industry looks like in Halifax, they then get referred on to 3 contacts of the connector. So the connector says, I'm gonna, connect you with this person because they have a job opening right now. I'm gonna connect you with this person because I think that personally you'd really hit it off. And I'm gonna connect you with this other person because they're a good contact of mine and I think that it's another person that you need to know. So going from knowing, nobody in your industry when you first arrive in Halifax to exponentially, very quickly, knowing a lot more people as you start to get through that grapevine of connectors. And so it's very beneficial, when you don't know where to go, when you don't know who to turn to, the Connector program really does help you be able to settle in a community and make those connections that can open those doors. So it sounds like it's something that would really only benefit connectees, but connectors really benefit as well. They gain access to a diverse pool of pre-qualified job seekers. So as connector coordinators, we make sure that the connectees or the newcomers are job ready. We make sure that their English or French is good enough to really thrive in a workplace here. We make sure that their resume and their interview skills are up to par so that they can just jump right into a job opportunity if it comes up. Connectors also benefit by helping to grow their industry and the local workforce. They're welcoming more people in. They're making sure that people are there to fill those job gaps that they have. It's a meaningful light ask. It's a volunteer experience that has a very big impact on the community. One of our connectors in Cape Breton actually said that it's the best way to spend half an hour of your time to help your community. We're also providing an opportunity to demonstrate leadership by increasing inclusion, diversity, and talent retention in the community for all of our connectors. And most of the time, connectors will come back and say, connect me again. I want to keep doing this. I want to keep being involved. And so, it looks like something that would be very difficult, but connectors really want to engage in this program, and they're very excited from a personal and a professional standpoint. So it's a win-win-win for the connector, the connectee, or the newcomer, and the local economy as well. And the success of the Halifax Connector program led to the partnership developing the National Connector program in 2013. So we're celebrating our 10th year this year, and we've got funding from the Government of Canada. So the National Connector program supports 38 communities across Canada, the United States, and Europe, and they all create their own, connector programs in their locations. Collectively, the NCP network is committed to building diverse and inclusive communities nationally and internationally through this program and through the process of intentional professional networking. What do I mean when I say intentional networking? I've used the term a couple of times, but what we mean is that we can connect people who can truly benefit from that match. So if you go to a networking event, if you go to a job fair, if you go to a chamber dinner, you meet a lot of people, but they might not be the person who can really open that door for you, or you might not have the space to ask the right questions of that person that you're meeting. So when networking is intentional, it really benefits both parties and the community as a whole does grow. So connecting business to talent. We pay attention at the Halifax Partnership to businesses and investors who have labor gaps and needs, and we match them to talent in the program, in the Connector program. So filling labor gaps and helping businesses really do thrive. We work with true partnerships, what I like to say. We are proactive in helping businesses when we see that they will need certain talent or given help in an industry. And we're also reactive when they come to us searching for specific talent. Throughout the last decade, this program has helped make a shift in the perception around newcomer talent and has helped almost 2,000 people. And those are just the ones we know about, so probably more, land jobs in their industry of choice in Halifax alone, which is approximately a 42% success rate of jobs gotten through the program. We pay attention to businesses and investors and really making sure that they get what they want out of this program and they get what they need. So for businesses through the program, their leaders learn about the diverse backgrounds and views. They see different resumes, different credentials, and they understand that even though it's not necessarily a school that they would have known about, they know that this person coming to them is absolutely an amazing candidate for the job. So we get them past that sort of screening process. Leaders and businesses see new opportunities for building their businesses they wouldn't necessarily have before. So the industry as a whole can benefit from these diverse perspectives and ideas and maybe new ways of going about an issue. By hiring newcomers and committing to diversity, employers can also become employers of choice in the area, which of course benefits the community. So many things have helped bolster Halifax's boom, but this program and the idea of intentional networking really has connected business to opportunity and engaged employers in helping to diversify our city and our labor force. All of these things have led to a snowball effect with intentional networking, the Connector program, and an increase in employer engagement, diversity in the city, and a change in local culture for the better. The more people involve themselves in the program, the more they benefit from the program, and the more they want to continue being involved. And that's connectees and connectors alike. The more word gets around about the program, and that there's great talent there, that people can find what they need, and the more employers want to engage, and the more trust they can place in the connectees, because they're vetted talent who are extremely qualified and are absolutely fantastic candidates. All of this has contributed to growth in the city. Connecting business to talent has changed the game and made the city more diverse, more welcoming, and a place where people can set down roots and expect to stay and thrive. We've changed the narrative through this program, and now it's a story that we're proud to tell. So that's it for me. That's the National Connector program. If you want to follow us on LinkedIn or on Twitter, we're out there, and I will stop sharing and pass it off to Daniel Chen.
So imagine a world where systemic change has occurred in the Canadian labor market, where employers understand the needs and preferences of newcomers entering the workforce, and where newcomers thrive and succeed in their new work environments. Well, this vision is possible, and it starts with effective employer engagement. Today, we will explore the strategies and best practices for building strong relationships with employers in Canada's immigration sector, and how Immigrant Employment Council of BC is taking an innovative approach with the power of purposeful engagement. My name is Daniel Chen, the Learning and Inclusion Specialist at IEC BC, and let's discuss the power of purposeful engagement, a new approach to overcoming barriers to employer engagement. Purposeful engagement, or working with purpose, refers to a shift in organizational focus from simply executing projects and initiatives to a more intentional and holistic approach that aligns with a clear sense of purpose and values. In this approach, organizations prioritize their work based on its potential to advance their purpose and make a positive impact, rather than just checking off items on a to-do list. Employers are becoming more aware of the fact that newcomers to Canada bring a wealth of skills, experience, and diversity to the workforce. However, employers may not know that newcomers often face challenges in finding and retaining employment, which can lead to underutilization of their skills and reduced economic contributions. Anyone working as an employer relations person must create a disciplined approach to their employer engagement strategies. At IECBC, we are in the business of creating value for employers and meeting workforce needs. The first way we do this is through the programs and services on offer. Right now, the primary and direct way of working with employers are through the programs and services. At IECBC, we have numerous programs where we collaborate closely with service providing organizations and directly partner with employers, mostly from large enterprise and mid-sized companies. Here are 4 selected examples. Our flagship mentorship program is Mentor Connect, a program that brings together skilled immigrants and established professionals in occupation-specific mentoring relationships. We collaborate with service delivery partners to offer connections events designed to connect employers with skilled newcomers. Specific events can be tailored to meet an employer's interests and needs. Applied Skills Curriculum to Empower Newcomer Development, or ASCEND, uses a strength-based approach that integrates online and face-to-face learning to support the employment readiness of newcomers and help BC employers recruit, hire, and integrate immigrant talent. This program was created with direct collaboration with HR experts, service providing organizations, immigrants, and employers. BC Job Connect is a customized online tool connecting BC employers to job-ready newcomers. These programs and services are a vital component to addressing the immediate employer needs in a clear and tangible way. But in this changing world of unexpected disruptions, programs, while important, can only go so far in addressing the complex barriers faced by newcomers. To truly support employers, we must engage with them in a meaningful way, understand their needs and concerns, and work with them to find creative solutions. How can we achieve this? By shifting from a heavily programmatic mindset to a more innovative and creative, purpose-driven new way of working. Here are 8 key suggestions that underpin an effective employer engagement strategy. Define the employer's purpose. Ask the right questions to discover the employer's needs, values, and goals to truly understand where is the employer's North Star, where they are now and where they want to be. But you must also define and understand your own purpose to ensure there is alignment. Deepen relationships. Building relationships is key to effective employer engagement. Have regular communication, touch points, and check-ins. Relationships takes time to cultivate, but the results are extremely beneficial and valuable. Leverage technology. Technology can be a powerful tool for improving engagement and building relationships with employers. Consider using tools such as virtual meetings, online surveys, and social media platforms to reach and engage with employers in new and innovative ways. Use technologies to streamline your processes and make it easier for employers to participate in your programs and initiatives. Make sure to choose technology solutions that are user-friendly, accessible, and secure to ensure the best possible experience for employers. Foster a culture of inclusion. Be mindful of the diverse needs, experiences, and perspectives of employers. Make sure that your programs and services are accessible to all. Reinforce commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Actively seek out and engage with underrepresented groups, create safe spaces for dialogue and conversation, and work to address systemic barriers and biases. Prioritizing DEIB will help employers create more inclusive workplaces. Collaborate with others. Work together to develop innovative solutions and share best practices. This will help build strong networks and tap into a wider range of resources. Focus on impact. Instead of thinking in terms of programs and activities, focus on impact and the systems to measure this impact. We lift ourselves up by lifting up others because at the end of the day, people will forget what was done for them, but they will never forget the impact on their lives and how it made them feel. Embrace new ideas. Embracing new ideas. Be willing to experiment and take risks. This will help you stay ahead of the curve and find new and creative ways to engage employers. Granted, the process of building strong, best-in-class employer engagement strategy will require more time, focus, and discipline. But as I approach the end of this talk, I ask you to once again to imagine. Imagine a small Vancouver tech company started by one man with a singular vision to lead with values and with the belief that doing good is also good for business. for people to grow, explore new opportunities, invest in communities, gain a voice, and be an agent of positive change. To enable newcomers to Canada and Indigenous peoples to learn the hard and soft skills to enter Vancouver's tech sector. And as a B Corp, this tech company puts people and the environment on par with profit. IACBC and this tech company have a strong partnership and continue in numerous projects. As you begin to embed these 8 tips to effective employer engagement, also consider the type of employers that share a collective vision and values. This is taken from our employer perspective webinar that included our partner from this tech company, which has grown exponentially. Our longtime mission is to bring together a workforce that reflects the communities and people we serve. At IACBC, an innovative way we are directly working with partners is the SDI Tech Bootcamp. The Tech Bootcamps is an employee-driven response to the disconnect between employer needs and newcomer employment outcomes in the tech sector. Taking inspiration from the innovative approach mentioned in our partnership with the tech company, IACBC is co-designing the bootcamps with employers to help newcomers adapt and upgrade their soft skills and better connect with the sector. Findings made during the development and execution of the bootcamps will be used to foster a sector-wide conversation about how employers can better tap into newcomer talent by deconstructing underproductive hiring practices and learning how to better utilize immigrant talent. So as a recap, in summary, moving beyond programs and working with purpose involves a shift in focus from simply executing initiatives to intentionally aligning with work that has a clear sense of purpose and values, cultivated and deepened relationships, ensure DEIB is a strategic priority, and embrace technology. And with that, I thank you, and I will now pass it on to Laura.
Thank you, Daniel. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. As was said earlier, I'm Laura McKinnon. I'm the Interim Executive Director for the New Brunswick Multicultural Council. Since 1943, that's 40 years this year, NBMC has played a key advisory role to all levels of government on issues related to multiculturalism, immigration, newcomer settlement, retention, and labor market integration. So who are we? We are the umbrella organization for 20 multicultural and ethnocultural as well as immigrant serving agencies across New Brunswick. And as you can see, we're spread quite fully across New Brunswick. I wanted to take just a moment to share our mission, our vision, and our pillars with you. But our mission statement, I really want to share this with you. NBMC is working to enrich and grow our communities and enhance life in our province by enabling newcomers and members of the multicultural community to fully participate in society. And I cannot more strongly underscore the fully participate in society. We think it's critical that our newcomers are able to participate from a personal, a professional, and educational level. In New Brunswick alone, over the next 10 years, we're going to have 120,000 jobs that we will not be able to fill if we are not able to successfully have newcomers join our population here in New Brunswick. So the fully participate is really critical to us. Our vision is New Brunswick is a home for a thriving multicultural community and a beacon in Canada for inclusive and growth and prosperity. And our pillars are to be the voice for the sector in the province, to ensure provincial readiness and sustainability, and to maximize our sector resources. So what I wanted to do was talk with you a little bit about employer challenges that we have seen within NBMC with employers. So some of the challenges that we have seen is employers have a lack of awareness around the programs that we offer. But I'm really going to focus today on from an employer engagement perspective as it relates to employee engagement. When we look at the challenges, as Celia shared, that employers are struggling to find talent and to keep talent, I want to talk to you today about the challenges with employers as it relates to employee engagement. So many employers don't understand what value employee engagement will bring to their organization and the impact of having engaged employees within their organization. And it really goes back to having all of our employees, including all of our newcomers, able to fully participate in meaningful employment as they want to. Another area is limited resources. Oftentimes employers are struggling. They say, we don't have enough resources, we don't have enough time, we can't possibly do more. And what we do at NBMC is we provide them with services and resources to help them, but we also want them to really understand how important it is to use the resources properly and effectively. So if you have limited resources and you're not focusing on helping to build employee engagement, what you're really doing as an employer is you're negatively impacting your long-term success. And then lack of understanding. Employers truly don't understand the benefits of employee engagement and how it will help them achieve their business results. So I wanted to talk with you a little bit today about some of the things that we're doing at NDMC in these areas. So employer engagement, what does it look like and why is it important? So employer engagement, when an organization is using the tools and resources that are available to them, it's all about focus on creating and maintaining a work environment where employees feel valued for the work that they do, where employees know how the work that they do contributes to the overall success of the organization. And the organization lives its values at every level within the organization and with every decision and every interaction that they take. So it's really important that the employer understands the value of employer engagement and its impact on employee engagement. Also, how does it impact employees? So when an employer is creating that kind of a work environment, what will happen is employees will become engaged, and engaged employees say good things about the organization. They want to stay with the organization and they strive to go above and beyond for the organization. So why is all of this important and why do we offer some of the programs that we offer? It's very important because employers who do not create an environment where employees are engaged see higher levels of absenteeism. They see higher levels of turnover. They have more injuries reported at work. They have a loss of knowledge, and as Celia indicated, the staff turnover, the sector knowledge is lost. So employee engagement is very, very important for organization success. So then what I wanted to chat with you a little bit about was the employee life cycle. So when we think about the employee life cycle from start to finish, it starts before the employee ever joins the employer. It's how is that employer seen in the community? How are they attracting people to their organization? It goes back to their values, it goes back to their brand, it goes back to their reputation. And we really try to help organizations to work in those areas so that they are creating an inclusive environment for all. Recruitment is really important, and I'm going to speak to you specifically about some of the programs that we offer to help prepare candidates to be able to enter the job market here in New Brunswick. We know that many individuals, newcomers, when they first come to New Brunswick, they're not necessarily working to their full capacity or capability. We want to make sure that their credentials are recognized, that they're able to position themselves properly in the market. So I want to talk with you in a moment a little bit more about that. Part of the employee life cycle as well as the interviewing process. Employers need to ensure that how they're interviewing is appropriate, that the right people are interviewing, that the candidates are really feeling that they have the opportunity to explain their experience, to explain how their expertise would support that organization. So again, it's creating space to make sure that everybody is heard. Onboarding is very, very important. Many employees will leave an employer in the first year, and oftentimes that relates back to how they were onboarded. They were brought in, they didn't understand the organization, they didn't understand its mission, its vision, its values. They didn't understand how their work contributes to the overall success of the organization. Engagement. In many organizations, you will see a team related to engagement, and that sometimes creates the misconception that engagement belongs to human resources. Human resources is really an enabler to engagement. Engagement belongs at every interaction that the employee has in the organization, primarily with their frontline leader, because to many employees, their leader is that organization. Employers need to also be making sure that they're providing developmental opportunities for their teams so that they can continue to grow professionally. And it could be things like going on courses or training, but it can also be special projects, it can be mentorship opportunities, it can be stretch assignments. There are many, many ways. Retention is critical. What we really need to do is make sure that everything that we're doing as an employer is ensuring that we are retaining our employees. I'm going to talk to that a little bit more about a couple of programs NDMC has to support employee retention. Recognition is all about catching people doing things right. And as we start to look at our workplaces, which are more diverse now than they ever were, we need to make sure that everybody is recognized appropriately in terms of what is important to them and aligned with the organization's values. How we offboard individuals is really important as well. People will sometimes say, oh, well, they're leaving, it doesn't matter, but it does matter. It's part of your reputation, it's part of your brand, it's part of how you value that individual. And what we are seeing now as well is we are seeing employees coming back to organizations. So offboarding is really important. And as an employer, something that you really want to do with those who leave your organization, you want to be connected with them in some ways, and you definitely want them to be ambassadors for your organization. So at NBMC, we know some of the challenges that employers are facing, and I just wanted to share with you some of the programs that we do offer. So some of the programs that we offer to help newcomers prepare for the job market, we have a program called Imagine NB, which is focused on youth, and what it really does is it helps youth in schools from a leadership perspective, from a community perspective, from building their network perspective, so it's helping prepare them for the future job market. We have Head Start to Employment, which is fundamentally a navigation system for newcomers. It's available to them pre-arrival in New Brunswick and post-arrival. It helps them to connect with different employers in the province and also to understand employment regulations and how things work within New Brunswick. We have Skills Launch, which is two different programs. We have Skills Launch Adult and Skills Launch Youth, which is very much focused on helping people have very practical skills to enable them to be job ready. Within the Skills Launch program, there's actually a job placement, a paid job placement. And what we are seeing is more and more employers are learning about Skills Launch and they want to participate in it because the candidates, the quality of the candidates that come out of the program are very, very high. And we see many of our candidates stay employed with where they go for their on-the-job training. We're also part of the small and medium enterprise research project, which is really interactive labs, which help identify problems that small to medium-sized organizations have with recruitment and retention, and working on developing prototypes that they can then look to implement to help them. And the Bridge is a new program. It's an experiential learning pathway for youth where they spend part of the day in school, the other part of the day at one of our member agencies where they learn very practical skills. The work that they do at our member agency helps them because it goes towards their credits for graduation from high school. So those are just some of the programs that we have to help prepare our newcomers for the job market. And clearly we work with Working New Brunswick to make sure that our programs are aligned with what employers need and that we're providing the right skills and training to be able to help them. The other side of that coin is really what do employers need to be able to increase retention rates. And we have two programs that we're quite proud of. One is called Represent New Brunswick, and it's where we actually go into employers and we provide them with anti-racism training. It's all about creating an inclusive work environment. And then our other program, Culture Connects New Brunswick, is really working with employers across New Brunswick, and it goes back to the EIP program that Aldea mentioned, and we are a designated provider of Culture Connects for employers in New Brunswick who want to participate in the AIP program. And it's really about providing them with tools and skills and resources and awareness so that as newcomers join their work environment, that they create a very inclusive kind of work environment. So those are just a couple of programs that we have that are directed specifically towards employers. And now what I'll do is I will turn it back to Rania. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for your presentations. It's great to see what's happening all across, and lovely to learn more about how you are all uniquely engaging employers in your regions. I'm opening the floor for questions, but I would actually like to start with a quick question to Celia about the research that you've done. Congratulations, the report was amazing. I got a chance to read it, and it's very insightful. I was just wondering also that besides the 3 challenges highlighted in your presentation, from your focus groups and everything else, and even your interactions with other partners, were there any other employer engagement challenges your study was able to find or even come across?
Yeah, thanks so much, Rania, for your question. Actually, the three challenges discussed in my presentation were based on insights shared by interviewees, as well as the literature. We also had survey questions about SPO and employers' internal and external barriers in engaging on newcomer skills development programs. So what we have found is that for SPOs, the most common internal barrier is experiencing difficulties engaging employers from different industries, 39.5%, because it takes time and effort to be knowledgeable about different industries. And the most common external barrier is employers not knowing the service SPOs provide, 78.9%. That's not a surprise. For employers, interestingly, about a quarter of employers noted no internal barriers to engaging with SPOs. However, 45.5% of employers noted that SPO engagement is separate from their organization's mainstream recruitment and human resources practices, which is the top internal barrier. In terms of external barriers, 22.8% of employers mentioned no external barriers to engaging with SPOs. The primary external barrier was that SPOs are unable to respond quickly to meet organizations' changing needs, and that's 30.7%. So I could go on and on, but for more findings on employee engagement challenges, you can read our research findings report. Thanks.
Thank you, Celia. And just to kind of take care of some of the questions that came in, the report will be, the organizers have already posted in the Q&A. It will be posted as part of this recording as well on the FeedLoop platform, and the tools, as Celia said, will be ready within the next 3 months. Celia, I will ask you a follow-up here on the tools. Are there any eligibility criteria for the SPO webinars? And do you plan to get participant feedback during those webinars? I'm assuming that's what they meant. So it's more on the webinars particularly.
Yes, yeah, that's a great question. And actually, I want to say that we are currently finalizing our tools and resources, and hopefully we can post them by the end of February. So be sure to check our web page under TRIAD, Effective Employer Engagement, and all the links to access the tools, including the SPO webinars, will be there. And then, yes, these webinars are open to all newcomers serving employment SPOs. And then we will be collecting feedback for the webinar, because we would like to know how you learn from the webinar, and if you have any insights to share. We are collectively building this knowledge base, so your feedback will be really valuable for us. So there will be a pre-webinar survey, only very short survey, and then a post-webinar survey, and we would really appreciate if you could fill them out. Thanks.
Amazing. Thank you, Celia. Okay, my next question I'd like to direct to Alida or Maura. You can both take it on. Other than the 3 challenges that Celia pointed out in the findings from the TRIAC report, are there any other unique employer engagement challenges that you have faced or observed in your region particularly? Something that might be unique to your region?
I don't know that they're unique to our region. I think it really comes down to what we've heard from some of the research that we've done is employers have a hard time navigating the government systems to be able to understand what they need to do and how the processes that they need to follow to be able to engage or hire newcomers. So we see that sometimes being used as a reason for not doing it. So we, as one of the comments that was made earlier, we're looking at ways to try to simplify that, although we can't give advice because that's not our role to give advice. But we need to have that single point, easy access for employers, because that's an unnecessary barrier and one that we should be able to overcome. So for me, that would be one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's a lot of different barriers that come in the way of people who just don't know how to navigate the system. And even though we are a designated employer, we're not designated immigration advice.
Right.
And that can be sometimes a very blurry line for newcomers. They'll come to us and wonder, you know, why we can't answer the questions that we're not certified to answer. And so, but that's I guess that's a newcomer barrier, but also I guess for employers too, they just don't know. And I think because the labor shortages in specific industries are so acute, they really do need people now, yesterday. And so, you know, getting designated does take time, and all of these things take time, and they just don't have the time to be able to do that. So yeah, having to navigate the system when you're already in a reactive state is quite difficult. So just doing whatever we can to assist them in the process, but also recognizing that there are limits to the advice we can give them.
If I may, one other that I might add is the challenge that we have with employers being able to recognize foreign credentials. And that one becomes complex because oftentimes there will be provincial agencies or associations involved, or regulatory bodies that have to be engaged as well. So foreign credential recognition is an issue for employers because they do want to hire individuals to be able to recognize their credentials, but they aren't able to officially recognize them. So that is taking longer than it probably should or could. We're trying to develop different pathways here in New Brunswick for different professions, but it certainly is time consuming.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where the thought was, is because you know, while the majority still do come in through federal streams, that when it comes to working and when it comes to be credentials and whatnot, sometimes there is a regional or a very provincial specific requirement. And that's where I guess part of the complexity really starts kicking in, is when you have to navigate between and across those very different systems, right? Okay, I'm gonna shift the question a little bit to the presentations presented by Daniel, Alida, and Maura. You've all some way or another talked about making a business case when engaging with employers. And so I'm just wondering if you can give us or talk to us a little bit more about what has been your organizational experience building that business case, what worked well and what hasn't. Alida, you're volunteering yourself
that
first.
One I'm ready to take first, Maura.
Okay.
So for us, what we did when we noticed that there was a specific gap in labor, essentially, was we got, and we're pretty lucky because we got our team of economists essentially on that issue. And so what we asked them to do was, please tell us what the province and what the city is losing every year because we don't have the labor to fill this gap, or because we're losing these people because they're coming and not settling, or because they're just not coming here. And so our economists are absolutely fantastic, and they got right on that and they gave us a number. And so that business case was easy for us because we went to the municipality, we went to the province, we went to the federal government, and we went to all of the businesses and said, this is what we're losing. So it wasn't just a qualitative, you know, oh, well, it's not nice, because it was quantitative. And we said, this is the economy's, like, this is the effect on the economy directly, and we need to overcome this. And this is how we're going to do it. This is how we need to turn the tide. This is how we need to change that narrative. And so for us, using the economics of the issue and getting the answer for them was what helped everyone really get on board. And when we made that business case, we then used a way of really recognizing those that helped make a difference. So we didn't just say thank you for doing it. We held galas and celebrated those that made a difference and that came to bat and that, you know, showed up for that business case. And when that started happening, people really did get on board. They said, oh, okay, you know, I want to have that award. I want to be at the next gala. And we you know, changed it. We had a program that was supposed to take 3 years, and we were already over our numbers in year 2. So that was us building a case and making sure that, you know, we changed the narrative.
Thank you, Alida. That was pretty comprehensive. So integrating labor market information, and then from there also making sure to recognize and celebrate those that made the difference. Daniel, did you have anything to?
Yeah, I think we just need to demonstrate the benefits, taking it from an inclusive workplace angle and perspective, letting employers know that, you know, what's the bottom line really of hiring diverse talent and underrepresented folks. You know, getting different global perspective, you know, reflecting the community in which they work and live, and that's how one way we built the, you know, we built the business case. And really it's just to, you know, assess the current status from the employer, what they need and what you need out of them, and you know, just using the existing assets to develop your value proposition to them.
Maura, do you have anything else to add? Yeah.
I'll just add one quick point. One thing that we do is we typically go out annually and hold what we call new conversations. And we engage employers to come to those to talk to us about in their particular region of New Brunswick, some of the challenges that they're facing, so that we can build business cases and proposals to be able to help to address some of those challenges. So we go to the source whenever possible to engage employers to help understand and to see how they can work with us as we move forward.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have a couple of questions here that kind of incorporate include my next question. And Celia, I'll start with you. How can the tools and resources that TRIAC developed and we'll be sharing soon, like the index and the interactive mapping tool and whatnot, be useful for addressing employer engagement challenges?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's a great opportunity for me to promote our tools, but they are really useful. For example, for the Employer SPO Engagement Index, it's very user-friendly. You will only take a few minutes for the employer to answer 6 quick questions to capture all 5 dimensions, as mentioned in my presentation. And there is a question asking for different engagement activities, for example, advertise job boards, mentorship, and deliver of training and skills development programs. So employers can check their engagement level within the distribution gathered from the data of the employers that we surveyed. And when they see the results of their own engagement level, high, medium, or low, they can generate a conversation internally about the options of engaging with SPOs because they saw the options of activities. Now they have ideas of what to do. And also if their result is not high, they may reflect on, okay, how can I improve my engagement with SPOs? And on the results page, we will also have our resources available, including the employer guidebook and the interactive mapping of SPOs that shows the different programs offered at various sector industries and locations. So this is just an index, and the guidebooks provide practical tools and strategies for improving engagement, and the webinars also provide lots of strategies and including a staged approach to engage effectively, preparation, generating awareness, cultivating interest and engagement. And it also talks about key steps for planning for engagement, including conducting employer research, understanding internal capacity, and crafting a strong value proposition. So these tools are great for SPOs and employers to use, and we will really welcome any feedback you have after you give it a try, so we can collectively improve those tools.
Great. And in the interest of time, I'll just throw one question out there and feel free to pick it up. There's been interest from various questions from the audience about how can we help increase SPOs or the awareness for employers of SPOs and increase SPOs efforts in employer engagement as well. I'll take this opportunity to do a plug-in myself. The National Network does have a employer learning hub that was built by the 10 organized partner organizations to increase the awareness and engagement of employers in the sector. And most immigrant employment councils, what they do is they pretty much try to go out, engage with employers and make them ready to engage with other partners. So there's a lot of referrals that happen between immigrant employment councils and other SPOs. But I would also like to hear maybe from any of the panelists here, can you share any practical tips or from your experience and your programs and how it works? How did you help increase SPO awareness among employers? Not all at once.
Just a very simple version from our AIP program. What our coordinator is currently doing is literally going to job fairs, and she's going as a participant herself and going around with her business cards and engaging with employers who are asking and crying out for talent. So she's introducing herself, saying, here's what I can do for you and here's how we can help. So that's, increasing the knowledge of the program and thus everything else that we do as a partnership. And then another way is looking at local job boards. And so she's scouring local job boards and analyzing who's asking for what jobs are they posting, what are they having trouble filling, and then we reach out specifically with help in that regard, or with those organizations, or with those that talent that we know of. So it's targeted, and it definitely would take it's that personal relationship building, but I think overall does help get people on board with how we can help and how it can make a difference.
I just wanted to add that, at the IACBC, we are more employer focused, but with our Mentor Connect and our Connections events, we work with the service delivery partners to get the mentees to be paired up with employer. Also, we have on our BC Job Connect board, we have a featured job posting so that they reach out directly to employers if they find something, and to newcomers as well. So there's that matching initiative as well.
And I would just add, with some of our programs where we've had really good success with some candidates coming out of them, we have some nice success stories to share with employers when we go out asking for them to be involved in our programs, and we often get testimonials, and we'll do videos and share those as well. So we do a fair amount of networking to try to spread the word as well, but it is very much, as you say, personal networking, relationship building.
Thank you all so much, and I know that we are a little bit over time. Thanks everyone for joining us. I hope this was useful information. Please do feel free to reach out to any of the panelists or the organizations as they're part of for any further questions or queries. And thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.